far away do you live from here?
45 to an hour.
Bro.
Like in the morning, it takes me an hour to get home.
We're good, Big, today?
Good.
Takes you an hour to get home.
Upwards,
Dude, that's
There's no
crazy.
traffic. That's the thing why it's like I have to go here.
Yeah.
Like once I saw the place, I was like, there's no way I can't come here because I pass on the way home and traffic's better.
So it's a built-in accountability model right there.
Give myself Wednesdays as a day off, and I work from home on Fridays.
Bro, good stuff.
So yeah, now with all the double classes, I can get more in.
Now you have to.
I have to.
You have to.
Like I brought my gi today.
Bro.
So I have to now do no gi.
Great.
Or gi and no gi.
Great. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
What's up, Tizzle? How's it look? We're good? Should we begin, sir?
Let's do it.
All right, guys. This is our third mat chat with Matt Corrado, who has a ton of questions, and he will also be getting his blue belt on May 11th. How long have you been training here?
Here, about 15 months.
How about prior to that?
20 months or so.
Dude, so you've had a long journey to this point. That's awesome.
Fun journey.
Yeah. He's made a ton of progress. He's become a big part of the school. So May 11th, we're going to celebrate you as well as your teammates.
It's gonna be an awesome time.
Good stuff.
Forward to it.
And you have a ton of questions. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, so kind of the first thing I wanted to talk about was an interest that we both have.
Cool.
So camping, nature,
Yeah.
hiking. So I know you went on a big trip a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Kind of just wanted to hear the background on that. What were you looking for? What were you seeking during that trip?
I was trying to figure out if I was going to spend my life doing jiu-jitsu. I had, at that point, I think I was a black belt by then. And I'd been training for about 8 years, and I spent my entire life doing this one thing, and I was kind of like reassessing. I was about to turn 30. Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? And do I want to live in Hamilton? Because, we share that love of nature, and nature's great here, but it's not the same as the places we've seen. So I was just like, all right, I need to get away and reassess. So I took 3 months off, and I went to Colorado, Utah, California, Oregon, Wyoming, Montana, and just avoided people as much as possible and just reassessed. And when I was out there, I realized that the life I was leading, like serving people through jiu-jitsu, that was it. But had I not gone on that trip and spent that time alone, we would not be here right now. Mm-hmm. I think I definitely would have moved on to something else.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of meditation on the trip?
It's funny you say that. I had downloaded the app Headspace, and I remember it was the third day in, I was using it, and I felt like the app and the meditating was getting in the way of my mindfulness, because when you're out in nature, like for me at least, that's the clearest form of meditation. Yeah. Everything shuts off. Yeah. I'm instantly returned to that natural state. And I realized I was trying to artificially create the state that I was already in, and that meditating was impeding my mindfulness. Yeah. So I stopped purposefully meditating, but allowed nature to do it for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I do like kind of being in nature and taking that step back, being off the grid. Mm-hmm. Your phone doesn't really work, you have no service. And you just have what you're carrying on you, and kind of sit back and relax.
Dude, you're right about the phone. Because
it's key.
This whole social media phase, I view everything now through a Jungian lens. He's all been studying. And there's this idea of the persona, which is the mask you wear. It's the negotiation you have with culture. And social media is like this magnified persona where it's like, hey, here's what I am. Look at me. This is the story I'm portraying. And that persona gets inflated at the detriment of the rest of your personality. Yeah. And I feel like being free of that need to artificially paint a picture of what you are, you find out what you are. And the phone is like the biggest impediment to that.
Yeah, and sadly, I think it's getting worse.
It seems like it, bro.
But nature's always going to be there.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, but then do you agree that jiu-jitsu is a form of meditation?
Bro, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's like the easiest form for all of us who do jiu-jitsu. Because you come in, you train hard, and there's so many obstacles built in that require your full attention. Yeah. That you're not thinking about the obstacles at home or at work. Yeah. Or on the traffic on the way home. Yeah. And you're just locked into the present because you have to be. Because if you're not, someone like Eder is going to squash you. Yeah. So you have to be fully attentive to what's going on. And without realizing it, you're meditating the whole time.
Yeah. Take your mind off for a second. Yeah, you'll get squashed, but then that also could lead to something else, which leads to something else. So you need to your full undivided attention. And it's like you say when we're warming up, like forget about your mortgage, forget about everything.
Doesn't matter.
And it's true. Like the second the warm up starts, boom, I'm focused in, and it's like a release almost. It's nice.
I think that's when we bow onto the mat. I think what it should be is you're bowing to yourself and saying, this is my time for me, or I'm going to put all that aside. And you have like a crossing the threshold when you bow onto the mat, and when you bow off the mat, And if you don't do that, man, you tend to do everything, part of the terminology, but like half-assed. You don't do anything whole.
Yeah.
You know?
You're not solely focused on one thing.
You're
So your
not.
mind's everywhere and you don't give anything 100%.
Yeah, you have to compartmentalize all that. Like, this is my jiu-jitsu time.
Yeah.
This is all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Nothing else exists. And then same thing at work.
Yeah. Which is great, because then if you're solely focused on jiu-jitsu here, then you can give your undivided attention at work.
Bro,
so it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it kind of clicked when, actually over the winter, and rough couple months at work, I missed all class all week up till Thursday. Something comes across my desk like 4:30, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to make it to class.
Yeah.
And I just like made that choice. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to class, and I'll just work until when I'm home.
Okay.
And I remember it was a no-gi class, and we did it was open mat. So it's round after round after round. I remember like getting off the mat, I was like, that was the best decision I made.
Dude,
like
complete catharsis,
right?
right?
Yeah. Went home super happy, full of energy, surprisingly, and knocked out what I needed to knock out in like no time. And it was like completely like refreshing. I fully gave everything I had physically, mentally during that time, and I was refreshed, which is almost the opposite of what a lot of people think.
Yeah. It seems counterintuitive, but it makes perfect sense. Like, I was just listening to Joe, who was it? It was Joe Rogan on the Aubrey Marcus podcast. And they were talking about how you need to build suffering into your life.
Yeah.
So that the regular suffering of life doesn't bother you as much.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan was saying, like, the more I just make myself suffer doing yoga and hill sprints, the less anything else gets to me and it matters. You know? And I think that's what this is. Because our culture is so comfortable. You don't have to do much. You don't have to try hard. You don't have to suffer much unless you choose to.
Yeah.
So this is our purposeful suffering that makes the stress of life a lot easier, because this just raises, if you have it on a rate of perceived exertion, right? And it's like 0 is nothing, 10 is the most stressful thing ever. As you suffer more, your scale goes up. And what was a 7 is now like a 5.
Yeah.
And when you do something like go on a crazy hike or have an MMA fight,
Yeah.
what was a 7 is now like a 1.
Yeah.
And we just need to keep finding things that lower our daily rate of perceived exertion, so it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, and keep upping it. So I did like a 3-day, 25-mile hike. The next one I'll do is like even more than that, more than that, harder, more elevation, and that purposeful suffering I think is so key, and I think that's what's lacking in a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people's lives. I think jiu-jitsu gives it in multiple facets.
Yes.
Mentally, physically, spiritually, your whole mind, and I think that's something that's like very unique.
It is, dude. That's why I started, because Trevor and I graduated college together. We were 22, and I was like, I'm a boy. Yeah. I don't know anything. I'm not ready for the real world. I haven't had a rite of passage. Yeah. I haven't psychologically changed yet. Yeah. So I needed to find an environment that was going to do that. And I took one intro class, and I was like, oh, this is it. Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah.
And then that became the next 8 years. But if it wasn't for this, I think you search for self-transcendence. Aldous Huxley talked about, you can search for self-transcendence up, down, or laterally. And we all know the ways where you do it down, right? You pursue drugs and all that kind of stuff. And laterally, you identify with your nation or state or group. But to aim up, to transcend yourself, that's the hard one.
Yeah.
And outside of, say, a religious setting, our culture doesn't talk about that at all. You have to transcend yourself upward, and this is a mechanism to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we all have different vehicles. If you don't do it here, do it somewhere else. But this was a very easy vehicle to do it as a 20-something-year-old male who played sports growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, it was one of those things where I started. The jiu-jitsu school was 2 blocks from work.
Nice.
Walked by it one day, and I was like, let me just poke my head in and see what it's about. Got a free week. Did that. It was one of the things where I was like, it's a skill I definitely want. And first class, this is really cool. Kept doing it. And then there's layers to it. So you learn some technique, you start piecing things together, oh, I get it. And then now it's like, oh man, there's so many layers deeper.
Dude, it's infinite.
And, it's infinite. It's a problem you can never solve. And
yes.
In all facets, physically, mentally, spiritually, it's awesome. It's the only thing like it. I don't know of many things that can affect and improve so many aspects of your life.
I thought a lot about this, because jiu-jitsu is the road that I've gone the furthest down. And everything you said is true. It does change you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I would kind of hope that any discipline, when pursued with that sincerity in a community, could probably offer the same thing. It's just probably not as accessible as it is here.
Yeah.
Because here, I think all of that, right? So you need, Aldous Huxley wrote a book called The Perennial Philosophy, where he basically summed up all of the religions and what all the religious teachers were teaching. And he basically boiled it down to terminology from the Sermon on the Mount. He said, you need to be pure in heart and poor in spirit. The poor in spirit part, like, you need to be humbled, you know, and jiu-jitsu humbles you real quick.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get good at this if you have an ego.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that is a great impediment to acquiring a lot of skill, because you have to just fail constantly. And then when you keep failing here, it's kind of funny. It's like the more you fail, the less you feel like a failure.
Yeah.
You know, in this weird way. So it's like your ego gets diminished, but you have a greater sense of self-worth.
Because you've kind of gone through it.
Yeah.
You know what failure's like. You've learned those lessons, or hopefully, and you go from there. I mean, for me, like half guard right now. I get
Tell me about half guard. When you're on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I deal with Dan. If I get swept, it's push-ups. And then
Dude, I love that.
Real quick,
you
learn to get better at it, and I don't fear it. So I try to, like, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, I'm just going to avoid half guard altogether. Now it's like, let me get there, like, really focus on not getting swept.
Dude, that's good. Like, and you up the ante like that. You build in your own accountability tools.
Yeah.
You make it so you just cannot allow that mistake to happen again.
Yeah.
Whatever it is for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so important, dude. Most students don't do that.
Yeah.
I think they show up, they follow the curriculum of the school, you know, and they don't really have their own personal curriculum. And they just kind of like go with it. And it's like, oh, I got a little bit better. But we were talking about efficiency before we got on camera. Like, efficiency is an infinite game, you know, and it's like your skill is constantly compounding upon itself. I don't want to get stuck halfway up the curve.
Yeah.
When if I've just been a little bit more efficient each day, I could be twice as far.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu's like that, because it's like every breakthrough, it's like you're breaking out of prison into a bigger prison.
Yeah.
And you can just see more. Yeah. And it's each breakthrough brings you into a new aspect of the game, a new environment that forces your adaptation even more.
Yeah.
And it's like every level is infinitely more adaptation.
Yeah.
You keep going.
Yeah. It just hits you sometimes on the mat. Like, I remember like Coach Mike was doing something. He's like, yeah, you do the sweep and then boom, you can do all these different things. And I like clicked. I was like, oh man, there's levels to this. And I just mentally leveled, or just found out that there was another level, and it was like, this is awesome.
That's the coolest thing when you have those light bulb moments.
Yeah. It happens all the time. And kind of going back to challenges.
Please.
I think it's key to attack them head on. I think a lot of people, like you said, avoid them, but you know, some people see challenges, and I think you have to change your mindset. It's kind of like what I'm passionate about now, is like changing your mindset, improving your mindset. And some people see challenges and shy away, but you have to attack that head on and make your weaknesses your strengths.
Yeah. I think so. Trevor and I will be like hyper organized. Like, we do a pre-mortem each week where it's like, here are all the things we need to do, and this is why we're doing them. And I've always done that for myself. You know, it's like, these are the workouts I'm going to do. This is how many books I'm going to read. This is when I'm going to meditate, when I'm going to work out, and all that's mapped out. And if you don't do that, the weeks get away from you.
Yeah.
You lose them.
Yeah, you blank and you haven't read any books.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
I wanted to read a book a month, and then I blinked and it's March. And I was like, I've read 12 pages of this book, 10 of this. Like, it's not good, but it's finding the opportunities. Like, once the schedule changed, I was like, oh, bummer. I'm going to, like, my first thought was I'm going to stay at work an hour later.
Yes.
And that quickly changed to, now I have an hour to read. I can just
Great job.
leave work at the same time, just sit in my car and knock out an hour perfectly quiet. And it's been awesome. Last week was awesome, knocked out.
What you read?
I'm reading David Goggins' book right now.
Dude, yeah.
So I like it a lot. And it's better than I thought, and it's good. I've seen him on Joe Rogan's podcast. Listen to that about just purposely suffering and being in a very uncomfortable environment, and that's where you grow. It's like your muscles. If you lift, they're gonna be sore the next day.
Yeah.
But that's good. It means they're growing. They're getting stronger, and I think that's what jiu-jitsu does every single day, every single class.
It does.
And you can always get better.
Yeah, you're right. You have to seek that stuff out, because if you don't seek out suffering, like, it will find you.
Yeah.
So you might as well be the one going after it.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to Dan about this. There's this awesome quote that's, easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life.
Yeah.
You know, and like Jocko's whole thing, discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah, that is it.
I've really grown a newfound appreciation for like extreme ownership, and everything is on you. And even if it's not, if you just accept it and pretend that it is, you'll find answers that you won't find if you just play victim.
Yeah.
You know? And then when you suffer more, you grow a little bit stronger. It's that idea of the phoenix, right? It's you burn off the feathers that don't serve you, and you grow back new feathers.
Yeah.
You're a little bit bigger, and you can handle a little bit more stress.
Yeah.
And then in handling that more stress, you do a heavier workload, and you get a little bit stronger. And we know that physically in the gym, because there are easy metrics. My bench went from 100 pounds to 110 pounds. but I really like acknowledging what happens psychologically.
Yeah.
Like, I just officiated my buddy's wedding, and it was like the 5th or 6th one I did. It was this weekend. And it's always super stressful. Like, I'm honored to do it, but man, like, I don't enjoy the day at all,
Yeah.
you know? But I remember I was with Amber yesterday, and we were driving to Easter, and I just felt lighter because I had just done this thing that was very challenging for me, and then I let go of it.
Yeah.
And I was stronger now, and then immediately, because we're just those creatures, you look for the next heavy weight to carry.
Yeah.
You can't really enjoy that little window where you just do nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to seek out suffering. It's just, everything you want is on the other side of just purposeful suffering.
Yeah, everything. The
Yeah.
promotion, that more weight you want to bench.
The beautiful
whatever
view at
it
the end
is.
of a hike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the hardest hikes give you the best views.
Dude, they do.
So it's,
And no one's there.
no one
else
there.
wants to do that.
Yeah, that's the best part. So you have to go through that and kind of accepting that and continuing to do that and push yourself, I think is very key.
And you made an awesome connection about nature with the trees and the roots. Let's hear that.
Yeah, so we had some storms last week, like very windy, and drove to work and noticed a tree had fallen over, and the roots, you could see the roots, and they're like very short. And you look, and it's like in the bottom of 2 hills, so the water was right there.
Mm-hmm.
So the tree didn't have to suffer to get water. But when it's faced with an obstacle, like the wind or a challenge, it was easily pushed over. And all the trees around it, on the other side of the hill, had to grow far to get water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made it stronger. And those trees didn't fall over. And it was like one of those things was driving to work and just was like, whoa, nature's awesome, and nature
Great
has like so
realization.
many lessons, and you have to kind of go through the pain and suffering to come out on top.
Yeah. I like Jordan Peterson's biblical series, and the one on Noah and the flood was very helpful when I had 2 torn pecs and couldn't use my arms.
Yeah.
And his whole idea was that, like, look, a flood is coming for all of us, and that you want to be the guy who builds the ark when the flood comes. You want to extend your roots out in every direction for when those winds come that you're not going to topple over. And as you adopt more responsibility in life and more people depend on you, you don't have the opportunity to fall over no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And they're somehow holding you up too.
Yeah.
Because if it's just you on an island and times get tough, you fall over.
Yeah.
But if like a community is waiting on you and they need you, you have a lot of hands holding you up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that support system is key, especially here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to get into next, the culture of jiu-jitsu. So kind of your experience with it, when you first started, kind of how it's evolved or how you've seen it evolve.
Yeah.
And then what you envisioned the culture here when you opened it.
Cool. I had a very unique opportunity where, starting at Professor Almeida's on South Broad Street, the first class was a 0 stripe and 1 stripe white belts, I think. And you guys were just in a room together.
Yeah.
And then I started doing the noon class, and that's when I trained with all belts and got to do randori. And after I got my blue belt, which was like 6 or 7 months in, then I joined the MMA team. So all of a sudden I went from like no martial arts experience to 6 or 7 months later I'm sparring with like Frankie and those guys.
Yeah.
And obviously they take care of you, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just suffering. I remember I would just go in the mirror and just look at myself and be like, bro, you're about to get whooped for a long time.
Yeah.
Just show up. It's not going to be like this forever.
Yeah.
And go do your thing, And I was just a punching bag for a long time. And, it was very awesome because all of my growth was contingent upon everyone around me. Like, I knew nothing.
Yeah.
So any skills I acquired were gifts from people who were willing to lend a lesson or share time. And through that, you go through the ranks, and then eventually you're the one teaching, and you want to pass that on forward. And I think the best part about jiu-jitsu is there's a very high barrier to entry because it's hard. Because, like you said, what we're doing is we're purposefully seeking out suffering. But how many people are willing to do that? How many people are willing to pay money each month to come in and suffer with grown men trying to whoop them when they could be eating pizza and watching Netflix?
Yeah.
So
at a bar 2 doors down.
Yeah, not to mention this is a highly cognitively demanding art. So you have to have a barrier to entry of intelligence. So it's like you have all of these personality traits already built in when we're all so compatible, where we lead very different lives on the surface. Like, I couldn't do your job. Amazon would blow up if I was in there for a day, Yeah. But we all have enough in common, at our core where it just works. And then you have this culture of people who are all aiming up, who realize that we can only aim up together because I can't get better without training partners.
Yeah.
No, and the better your training partner gets, the greater an environment it is to force your adaptation. So it's almost like you want the training partners that are going to whoop you. Where in life do you look for the people who are going to whoop you?
Yeah, almost never.
Yeah.
But it's a kind of balance between, is jiu-jitsu almost an individual sport or is it a team sport? It's just you. But
It is
at
the
same
most
time,
team sport I've ever done, and yet it's the only individual sport I've ever done.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
It is.
Yeah,
It
like,
is.
you seek out that tough partner or the person who's going to give you tips, and it almost breeds a brotherhood. Like you come here, you attack each other for 45 minutes, and then you hug.
Yeah.
Where is that? And you're talking like a couple weeks ago after class, like it's so unique to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And jiu-jitsu people are a lot closer than people you may go on a run with or
Yes.
lift with or
Yes.
work with.
Yeah.
I'm closer with people here that I've worked with for 18 months, 2 years, maybe more
Yeah.
than that, and it's awesome.
It becomes your family.
Yeah.
And it kind of has to. I mean, how much physical contact do you have with other people? And in here, we're just on top of each other all the time.
Yeah.
So when you say hi and goodbye, it's always like a high five and a hug.
Yeah.
You don't do that at work too much.
No, yeah.
And there's definitely, one of my favorite parts of the night is when everyone's done training and they're still hanging out
Yeah.
and talking.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, all right, we suffered, we went through this hard thing together.
Yeah.
Now let's hang out. Tell me about your life.
Yeah, relax, and those talks are always great, because your mind's clear.
Yeah.
You just work super hard, and yeah, it's
Dude,
fun.
Actually, I've never told anyone I do this. I really like watching people when they come in the front door, right? So, and I'll be purposeful about it. Like all you guys that have like stressful jobs, I'll watch your physiology as you walk in, and then I'll just go on, teach and whatever. And when you leave, I'll be sure to watch your physiology again. And you guys look like two different people. It's
Yeah.
crazy. You come in, you're stressed out, you're hunched over. Then you walk out, and you're like chest out, everything's great.
Yeah,
You know.
you're lighter.
Where else do you see that change in physiology that quickly? Like you don't.
No,
It's a beautiful thing.
it's
And
super unique.
this is like what nature is for you and I, where we go there and reset.
Yeah.
This is that reset for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It allows all that stress just to get out,
Yeah.
reach homeostasis, so you're ready to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. And I think something I wanted to get into was kind of the aspect of the gi too. So everyone comes in, different work uniforms, suits,
Yeah.
whatever. Then you put on a gi so everyone looks identical. And the only thing that's distinguishing you is the color of the belt you're wearing.
Yeah.
Which just means how long you've been training.
Yep.
It's kind of, we're all equal.
Yes.
But we're going towards something together.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important, man. Like the uniform represents uniformity.
Yeah.
We're all on the same team. We all have the same objective, right? Where we pursue individual goals as a collective.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it was always kind of odd for me because I'm trying to help people use jiu-jitsu as a vehicle to develop themselves so you become whatever it is you're supposed to become. As individual as you can be.
Yeah.
But you have to narrow yourself into this narrow channel for a long time, and then you come out and blossom on the other side. So it's like you need to be uniform now so you can find your individuality later. This is the discipline that does that. And I'm big on Giuliani's broken window theory. Are you familiar with that? So when he tried to clean up, he did clean up the crime rates in New York. He started with the broken windows. Because if there were broken windows, it led to graffiti, which led to loitering, which led to drugs, which led to murder.
Yeah.
And he was just like, let's go to the windows. Kill the monster when it's small. And it worked.
Yeah.
And I think I'm hyper attentive to our cultures. We have a really special thing going.
Yeah.
Everyone's awesome. And I'm always looking for the little things that are the eggs that will become the dragon. And I think something as simple as a uniform that represents a little difference.
Yeah.
And then that difference gets accentuated somewhere else. And then all of a sudden you've got the bad seed that you have to remove from the school.
Yeah.
So any little fine-tuning we can do in the beginning, I think is important. I think the uniform is part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talked about the vehicle. Can you kind of go into more?
Oh,
that?
jiu-jitsu is a vehicle
Yeah.
for personal
Yeah.
development?
So when did you come up with that, or when did that kind of hit you? And yeah, take it from there.
Dude, so I've always valued inner experience over outer experience. Like I played football in high school, and I loved the training for it more than I loved football.
Yeah.
I love the suffering about it.
Yeah.
And I realized that jiu-jitsu was the vehicle by which I was molding myself, and that I was spending, I don't know how many hours, training multiple times a day, every day in jiu-jitsu, but I was really training my character and my psyche and my soul. And so I think I started saying that in like 2013 or something. And it wasn't until like last year when I realized what I meant by that. And that was through studying Jordan Peterson. And he talks a lot about competence hierarchies and the idea of in any skill, there's a hierarchy of competence. And you want to ascend that hierarchy. And it's the transdisciplinary skills of hierarchical extension that we acquire through jiu-jitsu that we use everywhere else. You know, in getting better at jiu-jitsu, I've had to learn how to learn. I've had to learn how to put forth effort toward one thing for a long time.
Focus.
I had to learn to humble myself, to ask questions and risk failure. And those are all the attributes that when applied in other hierarchies allow you to ascend.
Yeah.
So when I say jiu-jitsu is a vehicle for personal development, I think it's jiu-jitsu is an environment that forces the adaptation of the individual, which is the adaptation that makes you successful in all other hierarchies. That's why, you know, in your dollar bills, you have the eye at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Because the thing at the top of the pyramid is the thing that pays attention and learns. That's what allows you to ascend any hierarchy. That's why they put it at the top. That's who was Horus with the eye. You know, that's the Marduk was the Mesopotamian god from the Enuma Elish, which was like the first creation myth we've found. And he spoke magic words and had eyes that went all the way around his head. Like, we've known this. We've been trying to say, like, hey guys, pay attention. That's where it's at. Because if you pay attention and you willingly, right, you pay attention, you confront the dragon, and you embrace death and rebirth. That's what allows you to ascend any hierarchy. So jiu-jitsu is the environment that taught me how to ascend hierarchies. So time will tell. Hopefully I'll ascend other hierarchies as well through the things I've learned here.
Yeah. I think you touch on something key is learning to learn. Yeah, which is key because you're going to face so many different challenges, and if you don't know different ways to attack them or a singular successful way to attack them, it's key. And I think part of it's repetition.
Yeah.
And part of it's focus, like you were saying. You have to be focused on here, you know, if you want to learn.
And I think you want to find the most, I guess it would be the lowest resolution answer to the question so that it applies everywhere else. So when we're learning arm bars, you don't want to learn an arm bar in closed guard in a vacuum, because then you can only use it when you're in closed guard.
Yeah.
But if you learn how an arm bar works, you can do it in closed guard, or in the mount, or in a scramble. You know, you can learn the mechanisms that make the arm bar possible. So if we're trying to be a better student, like, you know, focus, pay attention, work hard. If you can learn what it is that makes you a good student, period, not a good student at jiu-jitsu, those are transferable skills that go everywhere else. So again, going back to efficiency, it's what is the lowest resolution answer that applies everywhere else that is transferable that I can use at work, in my relationships, in my passions. And I think that's what if you're a good jiu-jitsu student, you look at like, all right, I just learned how to pass the guard today. How is that going to help me be a better husband to my wife? Because you can find those answers.
Yeah, they're there.
You just have to look.
Or what's I'm having trouble doing arm bars. What's the arm bar in my life?
Yeah. It represents a mistake.
Yeah.
Where else am I making that mistake? Because this is a mirror. If you watch someone train, dude, I would love, like, this would be a cool experiment.
Yeah.
So we'll watch someone train, and we'll take a bunch of notes. And it's like, all right, I see him making this mistake, you know, this is abstract out. He's probably doing this somewhere else. And then talk like his therapist. And these are the mistakes he's making at work and at home. And to see how they merge and land right on top of each other. Yeah. Because it does, man. It's a mirror. I am incredibly impatient, like by nature, super impatient. And guard passing taught me patience in a way that, I guess, tearing pecs was the only other thing that taught me more so than guard passing. Because guard passing, you can't back up. And you have to be willing to take 10 minutes to advance an inch. You know, so that taught me the impatience because I was just awful at guard passing when I started training. Because I was impatient. I was trying to force things. And I realized that I'm doing that everywhere else in my life. You know?
Yeah, that skill is now transferable.
That's it. Yeah. So it's not I'm learning guard passing. It's I'm learning patience to capitalize on opportunities when they present themselves and not square pegging round holes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm learning another tool in my toolbox that can be used anywhere.
Yes.
And as you know, the right tool at the right time is perfect.
Yes.
Especially, you know, anywhere in your life, in nature, anything. It's so the more almost like the more suffering you go through, the more learning you do, the easier your life becomes because now you have more tools, more experiences, and it's key.
In regards to the pyramid, right, ascending the competence hierarchy, in the simplest way, the higher you go up the pyramid, the farther you can see into the horizon. So right there, right, it's the ascension that allows you to see more physically, let alone metaphysically and abstractly when we talk about jiu-jitsu, it's transferable everywhere else. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
The more you suffer, the more you see.
kind of want to get into transitioning to coaching. It's kind of way off topic, but
do it.
When you transitioned to coaching at Ricardo's, and kind of what was that like? Do you have any like teaching experience before?
I was a strength coach, so I had always kind of, taught, I guess you could say. When I got my blue belt, I started doing the warm-up in the noon class. And I remember how stressful that was. How I would go home and practice it in my bedroom. I was living at home, right in my childhood bedroom, and I'm talking through, like, my bed, like, this is how you do an UPA, and being so nervous. Because I wasn't comfortable speaking in public, and I didn't know it. So I would, like, have the cheat sheet with me, So I started doing the warm-up, and then it was, okay, teach a move. And then it became, can you cover a class? And then it became, we want to open up on Sundays. Can you teach the Sunday schedule? And I was like, down, I would love to. 100%. And then maybe 4-ish, 5-ish years in, Professor opened up a second school in Newtown. And I remember getting that phone call in my apartment. I was just like, that's all I want. Do jiu-jitsu all day. I'm in. Let's do it. And I was a head instructor for a few years. And then I've always viewed things as, what's next? Am I still growing? And I felt like I was no longer growing in that role. So then we opened up this academy. Yeah.
And kind of growing in what's next. Pretty much the last thing is what's next for this school and what's next for jiu-jitsu as a whole.
All right. We'll start with this school. So my goal is that this becomes a place of wellness for everyone in the area. Primarily, I guess my biggest goal would be I want this to be basic training for kids. Because, dude, I see like kids walk in here and within 6 months, right, or 5 months from white belt to junior gray belt, they become an entirely different kid. They do better at school, they're respectful at home, they're a little bit taller, they're not made of glass anymore, they can focus. It's just like you give these kids an environment that forces them to cultivate the virtues they need to be successful at school and at home. And I always think about being efficient. And it's a lot easier to get the kids while they're young than to try to repair broken men, as I think it was Frederick Douglass said. So my goal is that from like 4 to 12, every kid in the area comes here. You're going to suffer a lot in a loving way because we care about you, and you're going to develop the skills that are going to allow you to be successful. And then I also care a lot about the parents. We have amazing parents here. I want the parents to be doing something productive while they're here too. Right now we only have one mat, so we're limited. But I would really like to have multiple mats going at once where maybe the parents are doing a fitness class or yoga with Amber or having a fundamentals jiu-jitsu class during the kids' class. So I also want to have a weight room here too because our bodies are falling apart, right? We need to repair them. So it's just no matter what you're doing today, whether you're doing jiu-jitsu or you're doing yoga or strength training or maybe even meditation classes, I would love to have a physical therapist come here every day and get better in some way. You should probably have a library.
Definitely. Podcasting room, like we talked
about. Dude, all that, So my goal would be that we eventually buy just land and build a big farm, or a barn rather, and just everything's in there. And that's where we have 500 people come in every day that just are aiming up in some way. That's what I want for us. What I think jiu-jitsu's future looks like, it'll be interesting to see what comes in the Olympics. I think that jiu-jitsu is so specialized that you need such an education to view it that they would really have to adjust the rules to make it exciting. Because if you use IBJJF rules and you two guys sit in front of each other just trying to like come up on a sweep or something like that, no one's going to watch that. And it probably wouldn't be too good for the sport. But if you made the rules kind of like they did in like, ADCC, it's a little bit better, but people play the rules. So in ADCC, I think it's like the first half there are no points, and the second half there's points. So a lot of the matches, the first half, the guys don't do anything. And then it gets to the regular point system. And with every evolution of the points, you find new ways to play the system. So I don't really know how scalable jiu-jitsu is as an Olympic sport. But my hope would be that it just enters into every town and just people use it as a vehicle for development.
Schools, colleges.
Dude, I would love that. Like what Kano did in Japan, I would love for that to happen here. Can you imagine if elementary schools, high schools, if you could go to college for jiu-jitsu?
And then you just have a degree in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, right? That could be special. It could be amazing. You could do a lot with that, man. I would think of the psychology of elementary school kids and the bullying that occurs. Imagine if you put a gi on that bully and the kid he was picking on was now mounted in it and he couldn't get out. that's going to teach the humility real quick. That's going to level the playing field.
Yeah.
And I think that would help gain that mutual respect that they need. And conversely, I think one of the best things we do for these kids is you put them in positions of power and you teach them not to exercise that power improperly, right? So think of a kid who has the mount and goes for an arm bar. We're not teaching these kids to rip the arm off. We're teaching them like, yo, you have the responsibility to take this arm and go slowly and safely to finish, to take care of your friend. Yeah. Imagine the kind of parent that person becomes, or the boss they become, when they have power over their subordinates, and they use it properly. They use it to inspire, not to, they throw carrots out there, not just sticks.
Yeah, it becomes a culture of we, not I.
Yeah,
I think that's key. Again, especially in today's world. And it'd be great if we could get it in schools.
Dude, and you could end bullying in like one generation of kids.
Yeah.
If I actually believe this, that if every kid, say in Florence, came in here and we had enough mats going at once where we could serve every single kid and give them the moral education too. It's like, these kids love the gray belt. It is their almost highest deity, They modulate all their experience to achieve that goal. And if you teach them that, hey, you get a gray belt because you work hard, you take care of the people around you, you're respectful, you do this at home and at school, and everyone buys into that system. You do that across one community, no one's getting bullied anymore.
Yeah. No, and they're probably doing other things like here and there, like, improving their community.
Yeah,
and doing more and helping others elsewhere. So not only does bullying end, but littering goes down and crime goes down. And, it could have a massive, trickles down.
It does, yeah.
So, I'd be very curious to see if you could run.
Dude, I love that. That should be our goal.
Yeah.
It's just, all right, let's serve one whole community. Like, I love the idea. There's that old parable where it was like a really old dude who he was like, I tried to change the world and I couldn't. So I tried to change my town and I couldn't. And I tried to change my family and I was too old then, and I realized if I had just started with myself, I could have changed my family, and we could have changed my town, and I could have changed the world. And I think very few people truly, I don't want to say that, it's not fair. A lot of people don't aim up by themselves. We have an amazing community where all these parents are helping their whole family aim up, and that's a truly special thing. And I think that's probably relatively common, but it's not across the board. But we have very few people who I think go from, I'm working on myself, I'm working on my family, and now I'm looking out into my community. Where can I make a difference there? Yeah. If you had a community of people all looking outward, and you had so many eyes and hands on the problems, you could do anything you wanted.
Anything you want.
And that would be great if this became the vehicle to facilitate that change in this community. Because, dude, it started, right? We did that food drive at Holy Assumption Church, and we doubled their food pantry.
Whoa.
And we had kids excited about it.
Yeah.
They were pumped to give, and they were helping us carry the bags in, wearing their gis. It was adorable. And then we do things like the character assignments, where we did 20 random acts of kindness. And bro, one of my happiest moments in this school was I saw 2 kids before class fighting over who had done more kind acts. And I was like, that's it.
That's it.
We won the game right there.
We won.
Just make that scalable now.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had all of Florence, all of kids from K through 12 fighting over who did more kind acts.
Yeah. Yeah, what parents are those people going to grow up to be? What? Employees, leaders, managers.
And we'll never know, right? I think we talk about passive income all the time, but passive influence is way more important. And you'll never see the effect you have. That's why I think I love It's a Wonderful Life more than any movie ever. The George Bailey effect. Have you seen the movie? Bro.
My homework now?
Christmas time. We're watching that movie. But basically this guy thinks that the world would be better without him, and then he sees what the world would be like if he never existed. And he realizes the effect he had on everybody. And what a great gift that would be for all of us, because you can't see the effect you have on people. Like the kid who we helped turn their life around, and now they're not getting bullied, and they orient somewhere completely different in life. Who knows the difference that makes?
Yeah.
Who are they going to affect down the road? Who then is going to affect somebody?
Yeah.
We're nodes in a network, and we're all connected, and you don't know the connections to you. So it's like you just got to show up and every day just do your best.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea what's going to come from it.
Yeah. Just be a little bit better than you were yesterday.
Man, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
To actually get a little bit better.
And then bring your training partner with you. And community with you.
Dude, it's funny you say that. We talk about like the kids, and our goal for the kids is like the little ones is learn to play well. You just got to learn how to play well. Because if you do that, you're going to have the socialization where you're going to be successful in life. But the older kids, I say this more tacitly and implicitly, but you want to play well in a way that's good for you and good for the people around you. That's the key, man.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And if adults buy into that, how can it help you? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's happening obviously within this culture. You know, you roll with someone and you go, hey, let's, you know, I'll teach you how not to get swept.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're teaching that to someone. Well, now all three of you guys just got better.
Yeah.
So then when you roll against them again, you know, it's harder. It's that suffering aspect. They have to suffer more to get through it. So it's like this vicious cycle of suffering, learning, inspiring, working together, and you all grow together.
It is. And man, you do it selfishly. You know?
Yeah.
I want to get as good as possible. I need the best training partners possible.
Yeah.
So I need to teach you everything I'm doing to you so you
Yeah.
can stop it. So I have to evolve.
Yeah.
And it gets boring if you do the same thing over and over and it works.
Yeah.
My whole thing would be as soon as I would catch someone with something, I would immediately tell them what I did so it wouldn't work again. You know, and then the hope is that they
Focus on
assimilate that lesson, they learn it, and then they force you to be better. And that's special. I mean, we're so young. We've been open for a year and a half, but 5 years from now, when you guys are all, what would that be? I don't know, brown belts, you know, like, and you're doing that then, and you're so much further down the family tree of techniques where you're, you know, version 58 of yourself all the way down, and you're still doing that.
Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. And then imagine going into Amazon and saying, like, to one of your employees, like, hey, I swept you here. Here's how I did it.
Yeah.
That's different.
And hopefully, you know, more people in life see that, and you become better managers and inspire the people below them and bring others up.
Yeah.
Which is key. Yeah. Here's a problem, and here's how to solve it.
Yeah.
It's key.
I'm pretty sure major companies are now instituting jiu-jitsu into their companies.
Yeah,
Has Amazon done that?
No, not to my knowledge. In Seattle, local gyms give a discount. I don't think the Jiu-Jitsu Academy did, but a lot of Amazon people work there, so he might have changed the policy. But I know like Google and Facebook are.
That's incredible.
A lot of tech companies will give you a credit, so X amount a month you can spend on health and wellness.
Dude, that's
so
amazing.
Like that towards Jiu-Jitsu, but yeah, luckily almost wherever you go now, in every major city, there's a ton of Jiu-Jitsu academies.
Yeah, right.
Like luckily for me, when I travel, it's just a quick email or a call, and you can get right in.
Yeah,
most of the time.
You've been to a lot of different schools.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway on the different like cultures you've seen and experiences you've had? How do they differ?
Ooh, yeah, I think what's lucky about this school is that I got in here relatively early. I think you guys opened in September. I joined in February, so some adult classes only had 3 people.
Nice.
So it was awesome. Super. I mean, the school I came would probably have 30 people per class minimum.
Wow.
So you're not really getting a lot of one-on-one time with the instructor, or it's not the head instructor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is good and bad. And there's just so many people at that other school where you can like barely kind of like meet people, or
That's
you go to a class, you're like, I don't recognize a single person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you come here and like you see the same. A lot of people come a lot.
Dude.
So you can see people regularly. You can roll with people regularly, and it creates that brotherhood that we were talking about before. That sense of community. That's what I love about this place, and the culture of here, the philosophy, and the where we pursue individual goals as a collective. Like that's not at any other jiu-jitsu school. It's there, but it's not focused on.
Yeah.
And some places, more focused on maybe the health aspect. So I've been to one where it was like very high paced.
Okay.
So
it's
a
workout.
It's a workout, yeah. But we only learned how to pass half guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just like very fast paced. The warm up took like 15-20 minutes out of the hour.
Yeah.
But I didn't really learn much technique. And like at my other school, it was same thing. We learned guard passing all week. We'd learn one way to do it and like one way to block it if you're
Yes.
And here, I like the pace we're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like kind of everything chains together.
You asked about the future. One of my goals would be to delineate the classes based on your goals. So I would say, right, there's only probably 3 kinds of students. There are those that are pursuing skill acquisition, those that are pursuing health, those that are pursuing community. And we all have different aspects of that, but there's a primary driver for every student, and it's usually one of those 3, right? Technical skill, health, friendships. That's it. Imagine building classes based on that.
Yeah.
I would love to have like a jiu-jitsu fitness class where it's like you're gonna work. We're gonna get your heart rate up the whole time, and maybe it's just a fast-paced drilling class, the entire class. And then I also would love to have the classes where it's like, all right, we're gonna talk about this one guard pass, and we're gonna spend an hour on it, and you're gonna master it, and I'm gonna bore you out of your mind until you understand every facet of this guard pass.
Yeah, your technique will be crisp.
And those will be, you'll burn 200 calories one class and 1,000 the other.
Yeah.
But imagine having those options where you can walk into school that day and you can be like, what do I want to do? Work was awful today. I need to burn 1,000 calories and just reset my mind.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to have that and offer that. I think the more purposefully we pursue our goals and offer a product parallel with the goals of our students, just the more we're going to all grow together.
Yeah, it becomes a win-win.
Yeah.
My goals are achieving in multiple ways. Your goals are achieving in multiple ways.
Yes. Because our goal is just, how can we serve?
Yeah.
What do you need that we can provide? And it's been humbling to constantly listen to all the students and see where you guys are at, and you know, what do you need that we're not offering, and try to find ways to build all that in. You know, like we have an advanced gi class now because it was time. We had to. You know, generally you serve the middle of the bell curve, but there are always, you know, the people on the one end that you don't get to and the people on the other end.
Yeah.
And that's hard. But the more offerings you have, I guess the bigger that curve gets, and you encompass everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, awesome. That's all the talking points I had.
Dude, great job. I appreciate your thoroughness.
Yeah.
You learned this from jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah, I started taking notes as well. So after class, just write all my notes in my
Nice.
car, and then
How has that changed the way you're learning?
a lot of things click a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like forget things like, oh man, we learned omoplata like last week. I haven't even tried for that, and you start, you know, rolling, and you're like, oh, I could have done it there.
Dude.
Like, oh, I need to look into that, or I
Good for
should
you.
go wait there. But yeah, things stick a lot more.
Because now you pre-frame the class.
Yeah.
You know, this is my intention for the day. And then you have that sort of, you know, roundtable session at the end of class.
Yeah.
Where you get down all the keynotes, and it's just one more mental rep.
Yeah, exactly. And
It's so
we
important.
break pretty much every single thing down by 3 or 4 steps.
Yeah.
So I'm just like sitting in my car, it's like, okay, step 1 was this, step 2 was this. And then, like I said, just sticks more. So next time you're rolling, you know, things almost stick out for like,
No, yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah, and your game just gets better. And maybe I don't hit it, maybe I get swept because of it, but, you know, at least I went for it. And
Yes.
next time it's gonna be a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And that one time I'm gonna hit it. And it's been awesome. It's been great.
Dude, good for you. I've always wanted to do a mind map of like all of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Here's every technique I've ever learned in a 3-step process by how to do it. You have that like on the wall.
Yeah, you could have looked. I've looked at that like a workflow diagram.
Yeah.
So if I'm in full guard, I can do all this, and it gets complicated pretty quick.
It
it gets busy pretty quick, but it's awesome, and that's kind of what we were talking about before. It can't be solved.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's infinite.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we were talking about before. Is, you know, I look at a black belt, it's like, oh, that guy's master jiu-jitsu, and then like a month later, I was like, man, who was I kidding?
But you think that, right? Just
Yeah.
like I thought when I graduated college that like adults know what they're doing.
Yeah, and you quickly learn.
No
one knows what they're doing.
No, you don't. We were at a wedding this weekend, and my one buddy who just had a kid, he was like, dude, I have no idea what I'm doing. And now I realize my parents had no idea what they were doing. And now I forgive my parents for everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu has definitely shown me that mastery is on an infinite continuum, and you can get really far, but it is endless. You never get all the way down there. And it's also shown me that, so I had a great opportunity to learn an awesome art from the best and dedicate myself fully to this thing for a long time, to the best that I could, and I got, say, X far.
Yeah.
And then to realize that I know so many people who have done that in other endeavors, like in, say, plumbing, or in sales, or whatever it might be.
Climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah. And it's gained a new appreciation and respect for everyone else in disciplines where, even if I never valued the discipline, I value the mastery.
Yeah.
You know, an appreciation for it. 'Cause you know what it takes, and you know how hard it is.
Yeah, and the hours they have to put in and understand about it. Yeah, right now for me it's wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
very
wrestling
cool.
for me, I didn't put much focus into it. It was never on a wrestling team. Watched a little bit of collegiate wrestling in college because I went to Penn State and they have a dynasty.
That's the place to go. Yeah.
But yeah, we did it here, and for the competition, I was just like, this is exhausting. And I those are super athletes in my eyes. And how much energy it takes and force it takes and consistent effort. And like it'd be easy just to say I'm not going to do it, or let me just get through it. It's different to, okay, let me get better at this.
Yes.
Go through this. You need it. Yeah. And that's what's also great about this school is no other school I've learned takedowns. So it'd be like
that's crazy.
Very basic.
That blows my mind, and I've heard that from a lot of students.
Yeah, it'd be like very basic, and then here it's like every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we rarely, if ever, have just skipped right to jiu-jitsu.
And if we do, it's purposeful. It's because we need to learn spider guard, and it's going to take all class to do this. Yeah. That's from a self-defense perspective. If you were in an altercation, you want to take someone down and keep them down, so you need to know how to.
Yeah.
I actually heard an interesting twist on it. Jocko Willink was talking about jiu-jitsu and self-defense, and he was like, the primary skill you should learn is how to get up. It's when you're in a bar and you trip over a bar stool and someone's on top of you. Like from a true self-defense perspective, that's what you need to learn. And that struck a chord. That made sense. You do need to be able to stand up.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to go from ground to up and up to ground.
Yeah.
And if you can't do one of those, you have a big hole in your game.
Yeah. You probably can't do the other either. Well, you probably could. You can take someone down.
Yeah. It depends. But to do so in a way that's efficacious, like it's funny to see the wrestlers who, they're all great at coming up off their back, but then they get choked right away.
Yeah.
Because you always come up head first, you know?
Yeah, true.
It's just this infinite thing. It's so fun to watch. As a teacher, I love watching you all come in because there's no like right way to do jiu-jitsu. There are so many different games that you guys just kind of come in, you all learn in general the same curriculum, and you see how you all gravitate towards different things based off your disposition, based off your physical attributes, and your experience. And it's awesome to see games starting to form because we're at that now. We've been open for like a year and a half, and I see people like he's becoming a heavy top pressure guy, and he's becoming like a spinning rolling guard guy.
Leg lock guy.
A leg lock guy. We're working on the leg lock guy. We've got a couple guys who are flirting with it. But that's the best part because it is a level playing field.
Yeah.
So your only excuse for not getting good is like just a lack of attention and effort.
Focus.
Yeah, because there's so many different styles of gameplay. You can play the lazy game. Like I know guys who are amazing who barely move.
Yeah.
Or you can play that fast physical game where, mile a minute and you're burning those 1,000 calories a class.
Yeah.
And they both work.
Yeah.
They're both great.
Yeah.
And I guess the coolest part for me is to get to know you guys personally and then watch how you adopt games that parallel your personality.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Super interesting.
Like Zach, right?
Yeah.
Zach's this very just like carefree hangout guy, and his jiu-jitsu reflects that. He's just kind of rolling through everything.
Yeah.
And then it's funny to watch that, the disparity to say like a Kev, who's just a strong, jacked out of his mind wrestler, where, he puts his nose down and he goes through the problem. And it's a very different mindset. They're both fantastic, but they both resulted in completely different games.
Yeah.
And they live probably very different lives.
Yeah.
So it's so cool to watch that and see how it comes out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is, bro.
Yeah.
What's been the best part for you as far as, have you seen a mirror the things you're doing in jiu-jitsu or the things you're doing at home or at work?
Ooh, I would say just eating better and working out.
Okay.
Like on Saturday, I just like woke up and was like, I gotta pay my dues today.
Yes.
I gotta do all these things, and had a hard workout, and then you feel better, and I'm like eating better, so it makes my jiu-jitsu better.
Yeah.
And then kind of the whole problem aspect and suffering, like I travel a decent amount for work, nothing crazy, but if flight gets delayed, it's like, okay, it's whatever. You see other people like freaking out, or actually on my last trip, some guy's bag didn't come out, and he's like just yelling like, they lost my bag, and it was just like 3 bags have come out so far, like, like no, your bag's not lost. And it's like, because I've faced so many problems, it's like when there is a problem, it's like, okay, how am I gonna attack this? Like, let me not freak out, because it could be, if someone has you in mount, you freak out, you put your arms out, you get arm barred, or you spin, you get choked out. So it's like, all right, if I can just take a quick deep breath, see how I'm gonna attack this and play this, you're gonna come out better on the other side. So I'm super excited because I've only been doing this for 18 months, 20 months, if that, last September, 2 Septembers ago, and the journey's just begun. So I'm really excited to see where I'm at this time next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and it's something I'm gonna keep doing.
You're gonna be that awesome like 80-year-old dude who's still hiking some mountain and coming back and training with a tattered red belt.
Hopefully that's the plan. I'd love to, and I keep on traveling to other jiu-jitsu schools too. Like, what can we learn from those people? What culture do they have? What are they teaching their students? And that's what I want to do. I want to continue to do that and grow here with everyone else.
It's so important to gain other perspectives.
Very key.
I read Jordan Peterson's Maps of Meaning twice, and that book probably altered my schema more than like maybe any book, at least consciously, that I was aware of. And he talks a lot about the idea of, you know, the tripart type nature of experience, where it's like the knower, in the known, in the unknown, meaning it's you're the hero, you're in culture, and culture protects you from the unknown, from nature. And that everything is ambivalent. There's this line that runs through all of it, that there's the hero and the adversary, that culture is both supportive and tyrannical, and nature is creative and destructive, and how we have this natural built-in mechanism where when you view a stranger, we tend to only view the negative aspect. You know, they're a threat to our culture. You know,
they don't know this person.
Exactly, yeah. But then they also have the positive side. They know something you don't.
Yeah.
They can revivify your culture.
Yeah.
So it's this balancing act where, because I'm very particular about our culture here because I know it's a good thing, I know it's rare. But at the same time, I want to hear what other schools are doing because there's something they have that we can do better with.
Yeah.
You know? But at the same time, you don't want to let too many strangers in the door where then you lose this culture.
Yeah, you dilute it.
Yeah. It's a hard balance, man.
Yeah.
I've gained that appreciation of myself too, that positive and negative aspect. Like Jung talks a lot about the shadow, that dark part of you that is trying to act in the light and trying to, you know, but you can only really see it when it's projected into other people. It's like the things you don't like about other people are usually telling you what you don't like about yourself, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you can't really consciously see the things in your unconscious and as archetypes, but they're being projected all around you.
Yeah.
And then to view another person, say, who would be like my adversary, right? Who they're also probably reflecting something that I really need to work on myself, that I'm afraid to acknowledge. So it's like that dude I don't like probably is a gift that I can learn from. Now I don't always act that out, you know, but I try to.
But yeah, it's something you can almost pursue or just like look into more.
Yeah. It stops you from making those, you know, one-off assumptions where you're just, I'm done learning from this experience.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to be gained from all of it. You know? And jiu-jitsu teaches you that. When you learn the offense of something, you learn the defense.
Yeah.
When we do half guard passing, you're learning how to play half guard.
Pass and then sweep.
Yeah. It's
and
always
you
like
have to
that.
be the person on top and the uke. You play both.
Dude, that's very true.
Yeah. So you're the one that's doing the smashing, the one that's getting smashed.
And no one knows how to uke well, which is hysterical.
Yeah.
You have to, because that's weird, right? I guess you need to learn how to do something, and then you need to learn how to receive the doing. Like one of my best friends and teammates coming up, Max Bohannon, two-time world champion, one of the most athletic people I've ever met in my entire life. An absolute, just like gift, just to watch him train. Worst uke ever. And it was like this ongoing joke, you know, and he got better at ukeing, but he just like didn't know how to do it. And it's this weird thing that you have to just know what the other person is doing and then know the position you need to be in for them to be most effective and the timing of that, and then do the wrong thing perfectly to put yourself there.
Yeah.
You know, or build the structure that they need to break down. But if it's a technique that is reactionary, it requires a proper action. So you need to almost like know just as much as the one teaching, right? Yeah. To be the good uke.
Yeah.
It's like that, whoever the uke is for all the Danaher DVDs, like that dude probably is really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
To know everything and where to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it's awesome. And I think kind of the last quote was, I think one of your books, I'm going to butcher it, but
Go for it.
your goal wasn't to master jiu-jitsu, it was to master yourself.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. Again, reading Carl Jung has really changed the way I've viewed my life and realized that all the things he's been talking about, I've been trying to do, but haphazardly, and thinking I was the only one doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And he is an archetype, which is the archetype of the self. And the self is the best mat that ever matted, meaning if you took the pie chart of your life and all the different aspects of you, and each was manifested fully in the world in a proper proportion to each other for what your soul requires. And the idea is that that self, the future version of you, exists in the future as an ideal, but that it's also right here, right now. And it reveals itself through the sensation of meaning. And Jordan Peterson, in his Maps of Meaning lecture series, basically came to, in the 12th video, the divinity of the individual. He was like, this is the one thing that I can't break with a hammer. I attack it from every angle, and I can't see where it's wrong. That you can use meaning to orient yourself in your life. Which is crazy, because you don't create meaning, you observe it. All of a sudden you're training jiu-jitsu, an hour passes, like, where'd the time go? Because you found it meaningful. And the idea is that your highest self is beckoning you forward through the sensation of meaning. And dude, I'm like a romantic when it comes to this stuff. So I just love that idea that like there's a wisdom in me that if I pay attention, it's telling me where to go. Yeah. And you found jiu-jitsu meaningful. You found nature meaningful. Yeah. Because it's bringing you to whatever it is you're supposed to be. Yeah. It's almost deterministic in a way, but I really like that idea. Yeah.
Those are vehicles towards your future self.
Yeah. So jiu-jitsu for me has been like, here's this incredible environment that is forcing me to just let go of the things that don't serve me. Yeah. And do the really hard things. And orient myself properly toward whatever I'm supposed to be. Yeah. And I think that's why I love teaching it so much, is because that's what it has been and was and will be for me. Yeah. That I want to share that with as many people as possible, because it's like when you have something valuable, you got to give it away. Yeah. It's like you got to tell everybody about it, you know? Yeah. And think of like how many people have come to this academy and like, we've, I don't know how many students have lost over 50 pounds. That's ridiculous. Yeah. You know, like that's better stats than Jenny Craig. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And not to mention, I would love to, all right, so the future of, say, our jiu-jitsu, I would really love to do blood work on every student when they first come in. And again, like, talk to a therapist, you know, where are you at in life? What's going on? Yeah, baseline. Get the baseline of their blood, and then train 3 times a week and come back in a month and watch like their stress levels decrease. Right, their cortisol goes down. You know, watch. I would love to do like, dude, if you can go as far as like MRI machines and watch their brains turn on, because now they're being activated in a way they never were. Yeah, stress tests. Dude, we know this is happening. We experience it. We feel it, but we haven't quantified it because we aren't millionaires to do so. Yeah. But I would love to do that, bro. Imagine getting like grants where you could be like, all right, here's a vehicle for personal development. And then you define a person, right, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, if you can somehow codify that. Yeah. And then you take all those pre-tests, go through the gauntlet of jiu-jitsu, get your blue belt, and then do the post-tests. Yeah. That would be cool, man. That would be fascinating. Jordan Peterson did a self-authoring program, which is basically how you figure out, it's writing prompts, it's nothing else. And it's like, here are all the things that happened to me, here's who I am, and here's where I want to go. I'm going to do that for jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Yeah. I've done it in like the 7 books. Yeah. So I'll just go into all the books and like pull out all the questions. But I want to do that because I think if you stick in this long enough, you're going to get something great out of it. Yeah. And it's almost like guaranteed. Like I've never met anyone who has, say, achieved a blue belt or higher and been like, I wish I didn't do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that wasted my time.
Yeah.
I never hear that. It's always like, I wish I trained more. I wish I trained earlier.
Yeah. No one walks out the door saying I was wasting my time.
Never.
I should have watched Netflix. Yeah. I should have played video games.
Yeah, I should have ate that hamburger.
Dude.
Fast food.
Right?
At the bar.
Yeah.
Never. It's something you put the time in, you're 100% going to get value out of it.
Yes, always. Yeah, the more you put in, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
And then it teaches you how to put more in.
Yeah.
And I just think I purposely deprive myself in a lot of ways so that it's more enjoyable when I do the thing. Yeah. I'm doing the April challenge, so mine is intermittent fasting, so I'm not eating after 4 o'clock. I'm doing a 24-hour fast on weekends. And bro, like a strawberry after a 24-hour fast is sweeter than any candy I've ever had in my entire life. Yeah. I watched a really good Alan Watts video recently where he was talking about we pursue pleasure to the point of pursuing pain, meaning that if you only pursue pleasure, you go really far down that road, eventually you get so bored with pleasure that you start pursuing pain. And he used examples of like the Romans where they would have slave girls that they would just throw to the lions so they could just, because they were so bored. Yeah. It was completely hedonistic. Like, let's watch these people get mauled. Yeah. Because pleasure had lost its intrigue. Yeah. So they pursued pain. And I feel like for me, that could very easily happen in this culture. And I think a lot of us kind of do it without us knowing it because it's so comfortable and so easy. Yeah. So I like purposefully, like we were talking about the sauna earlier. Yeah. Dude, in the sauna today, it was like 190 degrees. Yeah. And the thinking mind was like, get out, you're cool. Yeah. You fulfilled your need, get out. But I set a criteria, like, no, I'm going to wait these 15 minutes no matter what happens. Yeah. And just doing that, purposely depriving myself, purposely putting myself in positions where I'm uncomfortable, it makes the comforts like so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, and you like sit back on the couch, or you have time to relax.
Yeah.
Oh, this feels a lot better.
Where you earn relaxation.
Yeah, you've earned the relax.
And academically and like spiritually, when you earn your opinions, when you do the work, when you're not the mouthpiece for an idea, which we all kind of are. That's another thing Carl Jung has taught me that kind of mess with me a little bit, that ideas have men don't have ideas. That we're kind of like, you would say that we were all the exponents of a dead philosopher, but we don't realize we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because no ideas we have are new to us. But that being said, to earn your ideas, to weigh them all, to, as Nietzsche said, hit them with a hammer, and does this make sense? And for me, I mean, the ideas that make the most sense have been the imagery of, say, Christianity, where adopt the biggest responsibility you can in service of others. That makes sense to me, you know? Or discipline equals freedom. That makes sense to me. And as I get older, the idea of pursuing wholeness. I never pursued wholeness, ever in my life. But that idea of pursuing the self and balancing the pie chart. Because I know that when you don't, you tear both your pecs. Right? When one part of you gets so inflated that the rest falls apart. And I think we all have a tendency to do that. And as you get older, you start to round yourself out a little bit. That's something Jiu-Jitsu has helped me see. It's like my greatest weaknesses. Like, and it's funny, it's always the flip side of your greatest strength. Like, my greatest ability is I can be a robot. I can put my head down and learn anything and just, I'll study this thing nonstop until I understand it. But that's also the thing that makes me miss out on everything else. But it's that ambivalence again, you know? Your strength, your greatest strength is usually your greatest weakness. It's poetic and horrible at the same time. You know? What is your greatest strength?
That's a great question. It's a deep question.
It is.
I don't know. Put me on the spot. I don't know. I like mentoring people and bringing people up. That's something through work that I really like watching someone, you know, it's maybe a level below me, seeing the problems and issues they're facing and saying, hey, attack it like this, or hey, I'm going to give you this project because it's going to force you to do X. They're along the way to help you, but it's going to bring you up. And then you see that person get promoted, and then that person promote other people. That's something like that mentorship that I miss about my current role, because I just switched roles, but that I loved. And kind of didn't realize I was doing it until after I did it.
Look at that. Wow. So you want to get back to a role where you're doing that, where you're actively mentoring people?
Working with people and like I said, bringing them up and bringing everyone up together. Mentoring them is.
Dude, I think that's the key, right? You're right. Like, you didn't realize you loved it until it wasn't there anymore. Finding ways to realize the thing you're doing right now is the thing that you want to do and should be doing, the thing you'd be most grateful for if it left you. But it's so easy just to like write it off and look for the next thing. But like, this is it right now.
And I have to go through it so then I can have them go through it. And something else. Like, I can't tell someone when I just start a new job what they have to do. I have to, learn their job in and out, learn my job in and out, and go through that struggle, go through that suffering, and I can kind of show them the path.
And dude, that's it in all of the archetypal hero, right? There's always a guide that tells him where to go. Well, the guide was once the hero. You know, I mean, that's the key. The guide walked his own path to the furthest extent he could. Like, one of my favorite stories is this was actually Joseph Campbell's favorite story. He studied mythology more than just about anybody. Maybe like Carl Jung had a knee, but that's it. And it was all the knights sitting around a round table, and the Holy Veil appears before them. And they all say, we're going to go on a quest. We're going to find the Holy Grail, the thing that's most important to them. So they get to the forest, and that's where they split up, because the knights said it would be a disservice to us to go into the same place. Each knight went where it was darkest to him, because the cave you fear to enter holds a treasure that you seek. You know, that idea. And that's such a, like, that's it. That's it. I mean, we talk about using meaning to orient yourself in your life. Use fear. What is the thing you're afraid to do? Go do that thing.
Let that drive you. And it's tough. It's very difficult. It's not easy. You know, sometimes when I first started out, it's like, I have to go to Jiu-Jitsu today. I really want to go through this. And now it's like, I'm taking 2 classes today. Like, you go through it and you come out on the other side. So,
you do.
Use that fear to drive you and motivate you and get through it. It's not going to be fun, but it'll be worth it.
It's fun in hindsight.
It's always fun in hindsight. Like hiking, it's like, sometimes I hate hiking.
Dude,
you get to the view, like, so worth it. Every single time, like, so worth it. So
it's like, if you don't enjoy it while it's happening, that's usually a good sign that it's good for you, and it's going to be great later. But if you enjoy it while it's happening,
it's too easy.
Like junk food or a movie, it's probably not the best for you.
Exactly.
It's a weird balance. You're right about hiking, though, bro. Like, when it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I out here? We know, like a tough climb. But then when you kind of break through, I remember when I was on that trip, I realized that my body really kicks into gear about an hour into a hard hike. And most people never hike hard for an hour.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really. So I got to this point where I realized, like, oh wait, now my body's like warmed up and turned on. And now my mind's right.
Yeah.
So I would just like, all right, get through the first hour. Get through the first hour, your body's gonna be primed, you're ready to go. Yeah. And then you start to enjoy that each moment as you're going.
Yeah.
And then you kind of realize that, like, oh, this is the best part.
Yeah.
This is when my mind is clearest. When you're so focused on how much you're suffering, nothing else exists. It's back to that everything is meditation if used wisely.
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom in all those like Zen koans, you know, and it always comes back to some variation of that. There was one where it was like a student with a master. He was like, I want to be enlightened. How long is it going to take me? And the guy's like, I don't know, 5 years. Yeah. And then he says, but I'm going to work twice as hard as anyone else. How long will it take me? And he's like, 10 years. And he's like, I'm going to devote my life to it. This is all I'm going to do. How long is it going to take me? And he's like, 20 years. And that idea of just like letting go into the present moment. Yeah. And just embracing the suck, so to speak, you know. Yeah. That's what nature can teach you. That's what hard hikes can teach you.
That's what jiu-jitsu teaches you.
Dude, it does, right?
That's why it's awesome.
It is awesome. That's why I'm grateful we all found it. Yeah. How do you find it? How do you get started?
Long story short, I was traveling for work. I was in Chicago, and it was UFC 200.
Okay.
And some guys were like, hey, we're not doing anything like, let's go to the bar and watch it. So I watched UFC 200. Barely ever watched UFC before that.
Okay.
Didn't understand anything. I just knew, like, striking. That was it. Frankie Edgar fought on that card.
Dude, who did he fight?
Jose Aldo.
Oh,
and he lost. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, this is super cool. The whole bar is cheering. There's a guy from Jersey that lives less than 2 hours from me fighting this. This is awesome. And just kind of got swept up in UFC.
Yeah.
Which kind of led to Joe Rogan's podcast when he talks about jiu-jitsu. And then I moved to Seattle and just walking one day and I was like, there's a school 2 blocks from work. Check the times out. They all work. Go in. And I was hooked. Like it was like I said, one of those things where it's like, I want to get better. Like this is a skill I want to get better at, and then you quickly learn like, oh, there was so much more than the self-defense aspect.
Yeah.
So much more. There's that community aspect, and so much more. And it's easily becomes an addiction, a good addiction.
Yeah, we're all gonna be addicted to something.
Yeah,
might as well be something worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, if I don't train my normal schedule 3-4 times a week, I go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well then, if I can't suffer here, I'm gonna have to go home and do sprints or go as long as I can in the sauna or go on a hike, a tough grueling hike. So it's awesome. It's changed my mindset in a way I'll forever be grateful and thankful. And I'm healthier, I'm wiser, I think, and it's great. And I want to keep pursuing it and have as many people as I know pursue it because I've gotten so much out of it. So now it's like I want other people to get.
You want to be the ferryman, so to speak. Yeah. That's it. When I remember when I tore both pecs, I went up to my bathroom and while my arm still worked, I took my contacts out. I laid in bed and I was like shaking, and I was like, I love jiu-jitsu, but I may never be able to do jiu-jitsu again. Yeah. What am I gonna do? And I texted Gordon Ryan because his teacher's John Danaher, and he's had health issues and he doesn't get to train. Yeah. And I was like, bro, like, how does he view it? What is his relationship to jiu-jitsu? And he just responded right back saying he was always more concerned with the development of his students than himself. That his highest goal was just to understand it and articulate it so other people could experience it. And that's when I realized, like, yo, if I never get to train again, it really doesn't matter. You know,
I'll still be able to teach.
Yeah, I got to train every day for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's probably enough for one lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, I hope to be training again, and I've been drilling a little bit, and I'll probably be fine. But even if I'm not, like, that's not my purpose now. Yeah. My purpose is to share jiu-jitsu with you guys and help you share with other people. Yeah. To, you know, from Siddhartha, you know, Herman Hesse's book, The Ferryman, to guide people from one shore to the other. And that's cool. That's when you kind of get to focus a little less on your path and realize that your path is helping other people find theirs. Yeah. It's very liberating.
Very liberating. Humbling. It's almost an honor.
Dude, it is. Yeah. It is. And it's funny when it's kind of thrust upon you. Yeah. You know, it would be nice to
expect it.
Yeah. It would be nice to like choose it. Like, I'm going to choose to focus on other people now.
Yeah.
But when you kind of like have to, out of necessity and out of like lack of options, it funnels you into a nice place. And this is the best thing to share with people, whether it's a 4-year-old or 70-year-old. Yeah. We all can gain something from it.
And this podcast chat is awesome as well.
Dude.
Being able to myself be on it and discuss these topics and watch Dan and Eder and several more of the team here go through it. It's awesome. It's enlightening, and I'm probably learning something from every single person. So.
Dude, it's cool. It's great just to get this quality time. Like, when was the last time you and I talked for, what's it been, like an hour? Have we ever talked for an hour?
Yeah,
you know?
Like 10, 20 minutes after class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to get that time and just see like where I'm at, where you're at, and reassess things. And I think there's nothing more important than like proper communication. You know, to keep your eyes open and speak magic words like Marduk, right? And conversation is the best part of that. That's how I think if it's a good conversation, you go in and it's like I take a little bit of you, you take a little bit of me. We both have perspectives that we can't see without each other. Yeah. And I think that's another thing Jiu-Jitsu has taught you, you know, about being humble. But to go into a conversation knowing like this person knows a lot I don't.
Yeah.
And no matter who it is to always go in like that, that's cool.
Special.
And it's so easy not to. Dude, it's so easy to see one aspect of an individual and view them through that lens and only that lens. Like, he's a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, he must be a black belt everywhere. He knows everything.
Yeah.
When realistically, if you're a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, you probably just did that one thing. And you don't know anything about anything else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's cool to know that, like, everyone's a black belt in something.
Yeah.
And most people are a black belt in something. And if they're not, they are a blue belt in a thing that you don't know exists.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, that's why I always ask you about Amazon and what's going on there. I'm so far removed from that. I've never been in an office in my life.
Yeah.
So it's so cool to me to like to hear how all this stuff goes down and to learn and try to take those lessons. I'm always asking you, what can we apply from Amazon here?
Yeah.
Because there's so much to be learned.
So much to be learned.
Yeah. That's probably a good place to stop. There's so much to be learned.
There's so much to be learned. Unwise words.
Dude, great job. This was fun. I
Yeah,
appreciate your
it.
thoroughness.
Yeah, thank you.
These are good questions. Any
Yeah.
closing words for whoever ends up watching this?
Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, that was great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Number 3 in the books. We did it, Trev.
We did it.
Number 3.
Man, my leg kept falling asleep.
Dude, mine fell asleep too.